Hello and welcome. My name is Fumbi and this is Patito's Gang. Today on the show, we look at the emerging entrepreneurial economy and we look at just how we can explore and exploit this sector to create more global contribution to the Nigerian economy. Let's join the gang to find out more.
Well, it's often said that the Nigerian economy needs diversification. That the problem of the Nigerian economy that it should be diversified. True, we need a very diversified economy. But often lost on people is that our economy is significantly diversified. And that the real problem with this economy is that something that contributes no more than 11-12% of GDP, the oil and gas sector, actually is responsible for more than 90% of our foreign earnings. So the problem is not so much diversification, even though we need to diversify further. It's a matter of how we explore and exploit the value chains of the other sectors of the economy into the global arena so that those sectors of the economy will contribute more in terms of foreign earnings. How do we create an entrepreneurial economy? It's therefore what we must put our minds to as we try to restructure the Nigerian economy.
In addition to that, Prof, going further, taking it a step further, not just diversifying, which the economy is more diversified now than before, is decentralizing the economy. When you decentralize the economy, we don't need to travel to Lagos to be a rich man or to Abuja, to Port Harcourt. You can, in your local enclave, your local government, your village, economic activities will be going on, and people can actually create wealth in that place. I'll give you an example. My younger brother used to be a local government chairman. What he did, little resources, he mobilized, hired tractors to grade all the roads, tapped light from Ike Kuremado's village to my own village. I could see people, my village people living in Sokoto, in Meduguri those days, they were coming by because there was light, because the roads, you don't need a helicopter unlike before. When rain falls, you can't even access the roads. He made sure that all the roads were there. And the village started bubbling until 2000 and the next election, there was Wahala. And all the things that effort made, they pulled it down, no more light till today. And that's why people went back to where they came from before. So we need to decentralize.
It's a very, very important point to make about even just basic infrastructure, what it made difference. Yeah. Go to the Northeast, for example, before Boko Haram and all of that, there's a highway that went through Biu and all of those places. When the highway was first done, boom, in economic activity. The place was, people to service those using the road, and then after a while, the road deteriorated so bad that people stopped using it, and those towns began to die.
Yeah.
So yes,
I think infrastructure, like he has pointed out, is key. Because without infrastructure, without light, that is power, a whole lot of things that people can do, entrepreneurs can do, they fail to be able to do, or the cost of doing things become a lot prohibitive than it should have been. So if we want to grow the economy beyond oil, which unfortunately, whether we like it or not, oil is history, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oil is history. So in the next, I don't think oil has more than 10 years.
No, well,
in Nigeria.
Technically, we could even say that peak oil or whatever it is, we will look at it, could be another 25
maybe
years
maximum
or so,
25.
But it is a wasting asset.
It's okay.
And if we don't build an economy outside of a wasting asset and treat it as windfall, then we're in serious trouble.
Yeah.
I want the others to finish.
No, go ahead, please.
All right. So I would look at it from a different angle. For long, I have wondered if the elites in this country are asleep. If people fail to realize that you cannot have permanent peace where injustice persists. So I was sharing with a few people today. I said, look, both my parents went to school in England on government scholarship. When they got back, the economy went south and things became difficult for us. Just a few, my mom retired earning less than 20,000 naira. 5, 6, 7 years before she retired, I started paying my drivers 50,000 naira. So what happened? I had access to good education. I went to one of the best secondary schools in the country, and I joke with some of my senior colleagues. I said there are only 2 universities in this country. I went to one of them, Unilag and the rest. So I got crucified.
That's very debatable.
But jokes aside. And I can't win.
Don't worry. Don't worry. It's okay.
Let's
every university is the best.
But seriously speaking, though, what the essence of this whole discussion is to say that my school fees at Federal Government College Lagos was 600 naira. My school fees at the University of Lagos was 6,000 naira. Without the privilege of that, for instance, I won't be married to the woman I'm married to today. So all of this personal information is essentially to say, I look at it differently. I look at it from the position of leadership, political leadership. When you create a conducive environment, the flowers will bloom. Nigerians are entrepreneurial. It has been proven. It may have been proven in the wrong direction in terms of corruption, 419, and what have you. But even in the right direction, go to the US, go to the UK, go anywhere in the world. Nigerians are leading in their different areas of endeavor. So what we need is leadership to harness all of this together, give a sense of entitlement and belonging to everybody, and then you will see the best of Nigeria blossom. This is my take.
Yeah, you've spoken about the elite, what the elite has been doing. I mean, we have a pampered elite, an elite that has latched onto that gravy train of oil. And when you have such a gravy train, you don't think beyond, that. Now, unless that is taken away deliberately, there is a deliberate effort to take it away, then people have creative abilities. They'll begin to think.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Even with the current economic situation, the fact that suddenly oil revenues dried up, honestly, a lot of activities kicked in, in other sectors, especially agriculture. If you notice today, a lot of people are thinking, what next? Because all the kind of things that provide incomes for people are no longer
the bottom line is that economics is about incentives.
Yes.
And things that are unpleasant may become the incentives that force alternative kind of behavior. We've built a rent economy.
Thank you.
Most people dwell on the rent that has been extracted from this system, whether it's from government contracts that don't make any sense, or from oil, or from this, that. So this kind of rent economy, if we're going to move away from it, a number of things, in my view, are very important. There has to be disruption in the system. You've got to make it difficult to earn that kind of rent income. The current political class will not let you, because there are people who were built on rent. And what did Machiavelli say many years ago? Nothing is more difficult to bring about than a new order of things. Because those who profit from the old order
will never allow it.
Not allow a new order to come about.
Yes.
But you can make it happen even with that mindset of those who are in power in so many ways. If we have a committed intelligentsia, change curriculum, for example, change the way people think in universities. Now we're talking about entrepreneurship training. We've got to get people to stop thinking about, when I graduate, this job I will get. So already they have a disposition. If they have knowledge and they have that creative disposition, once the system is disrupted, they will go for the opportunity and they will build it.
I have good news though. I say these people think I'm joking, but I say that there's a generation that didn't know colonialism. And I'm privileged to belong to that generation. I'm privileged to belong to a generation that I believe is bringing change to this country. And that's why I look at what has happened recently, like you rightly said, sir, as a blessing in disguise. I personally believe that God loves us as a people, and I believe that we'll begin to see that as we move forward. Because what is going to happen is, people like us are going to emerge. We're going to take the bull by the... I feel like, I look at Nigeria like a woman that has done so much for me in terms of parenting, and it's time to pay her back. And I pray God helping us.
Okay, I think one of the things we need to do is go to a break. When we come back from this break, I'd like us to engage in some kind of new thinking about how we create whole new value chains in which entrepreneurial engagement leads to an improvement in the quality of our lives, new wealth for the country, and go from there.
From the gang, we've learned that the oil sector in Nigeria has a lifespan of maybe 25 years. Oil is history, but just how feasible is it to revive our economy beyond oil? Let's go to the streets to find out what people think.
When the government is saying that way, it will be reduced. We don't want people that are just striving to get there.
First of all, we have a culture that doesn't train people to be entrepreneurs. That's the first problem, I think. Okay, I've always thought about it that maybe even right from schools, people should be encouraged to have that entrepreneurial spirit approach in life, in everything they do, because I don't see a country making it without entrepreneurs everywhere. In our generation, you notice that it's possible for you to be an entrepreneur no matter how small you start or what you do. Things like that should be encouraged right from even secondary school. It's only the poor kids you see hawking and doing things like that, even though that's far from being an entrepreneur, but they learn how to make money, manage money, and that's very essential. So I think those are the kind of things that we should be introduced into society. I'm not talking about government, because if you're waiting for government, you might as well forget it. It's about parents, it's about teachers, it's about society, training the young to be entrepreneurs.
Making Nigeria an entrepreneurial economy is a very massive task, but I think there's a very small place to start the whole thing from. If I were to answer that question properly, I think I would say one thing. Our education spending is quite low in this climate, and that I think is the key reason why our entrepreneurial life is so on the low. I would lay a couple of statistics to make this very, very clear. I attended an event recently. I got to realize that of all the patents in the world, Africa is only responsible for 1% of all patents in the world. We have 66% and more than that of all mined diamonds and 90% cocoa production in the world. What that does is we don't have the mind to produce these things as products. And what happens is we export all these things and then they are sent back to us as things that we buy with our money. We pay money to do it. Somebody said recently that the amount Apple made in the first quarter of 2017 budget, Apple is just one company. Imagine if we have people who have the brain to conceive in corporations like Apple. We got to know recently, according to statistics, that only 224 people pay taxes more than 20 million naira in Nigeria. It is disheartening to know that our level of education is so low that we don't have minds that can produce things that can be patented. So if I were to say in one word, all we need to do majorly is increase our spending on education. I think that would be a very good place to start.
Part of the problem, I think, in Nigeria with solving problems is that government has been too dominant. Everything we outsource to government. Oh, government has not done this, government has not done that. In fact, in my experience, government has been such a poor, if you will, source of progress that Nigerians must consciously retreat from what government should do. And, non-state actors need to move to the fore. So how can non-state actors help create kind of entrepreneurial economy?
One is that won't the government get in the way even when non-state actors are...
Yes, but there's a way to check that, and that's institution building.
Yeah.
Institutions that set boundaries. Most strong institutions, that's really the basis for progress, did not happen because government decreased something into existence. They happened because stakeholders, people with vested interests, fought the system. Yeah. They went to the courts. And that's why I'm very pained by the challenge in the judiciary in Nigeria. If you think one of the most interesting conversations around this kind of subject, was Rajan and Zingales, who wrote the book Saving Capitalism from the Capitalists. And basically, they argued the point that you could identify why the US is one of the most entrepreneurial economies in the world with the judgments of a number of US judges, and they particularly singled out Charles Brandeis. Justice Brandeis' rulings is one of the things that makes it such that the US is one of the easiest places for young people to access capital in the world. So I think we need for non-state actors to step in and do more in terms of creating this entrepreneurial economy that can help us get this diversification.
One way of doing that, first and foremost, is to have a critical mass of venture capital firms or private equity firms. These are people, because anytime government, people look up to look for money to fund their businesses. They look up to government and say, okay, government has not done this and not done that, because we don't have enough venture capital firms or private equity firms that can actually handhold entrepreneurs and fund them and do what Capital Alliance did for a couple of companies, ABC Transport, the Frank Ibogu newspaper and all that. So we need to help and build that, rather than looking at the conventional banks are not set up to fund startups because they don't understand the way entrepreneurs think.
Well, they have a role. The role is working capital, really, to provide working capital to firms that are running.
Okay, latching on to working capital, there's a whole lot of developments in the international arena, about disruptive technologies, and exponential technologies. One of the ways that entrepreneurs are solving this problem is through crowdfunding, where you come up with a very good idea, about what you want to do, or a business idea about what you want to do, put it out there, and a host of people will chip in small little bits of money. Now, the problem with our economy today is that we're used to doing things in a certain way. So if we're thinking of non-state actors, I think one of the roles that non-state actors are going to play is to bring home some of these ideas, that are playing out in the international arena.
There's so many people who have had good careers who are relaxed today. This is where they could be mentoring young people, helping found companies and sit on their boards and show them.
The body language of this present government, if you bring out so much money, they'll think that you stole them. Even when you have made your money genuinely.
No, but let's completely forget government, because I think let's pretend that government does not exist.
Prof, I don't know if I should say I beg to disagree a bit, because you see, right from when you said it the first time, I said I think personally, the problem with Nigeria has been that we've not realized how important government is. And I'm coming somewhere. I do agree with you that government needs to get out of the way. So that's why you can't afford to leave it. And this is my pain with those of us, the elites in this country. As a sustainability management professional, I know that no society, no business, no organization will thrive in a society that fails. We were together at Falomo, Prof. I was 4 days at Ojota, 1 day at Falomo. The whole thing was grounded. All of these business angels and all of these people will not have been able to go anywhere. So it's very critical that the right people...
About 2012.
Yes.
Occupy Nigeria.
Yes, so and you see, people fail. So there's pothole, they buy SUV. There's problem with robbery, they build a fence around their estates. And they don't realize that if the next man hasn't eaten, the man that grew up with you in the same vicinity, he's the other.
Let's make the point about government. Nobody says that government should not exist. In fact, interestingly, in 1997, at the onset of structural adjustment, there was a major conference in Nairobi, a workshop. A group of American scholars, mainly from Colombia, about 2-3 schools, UPenn and co, studying structural adjustment in Africa, brought together from every country, the finance minister and one other player. I think it was Dr. Kalu and I that were invited from Nigeria. The conclusion of that workshop was that what we need in Africa, what we wanted or needed in Africa at that time, were strong, small governments.
Fantastic.
Government that is strong enough to do things, but knows that his business is not to get in the way. Right now, 80% of the time, government is getting in the way and preventing progress in Nigeria.
That's the problem.
But how do non-state actors play in this kind of stimulation of? There are so many different roles to play.
Yeah.
I can talk about one of the roles that CBL is trying to play. Because a lot of young people there who don't even know what to do.
Yeah.
And what we have been doing is we take, we took 100 in Ajegunle, for example, last year, put them through nearly a year of development, basics of business, and all kinds of things, exposure to vocational skills, attachment to companies, and after this period, find a partner, provide them some startup pack to start that business and hold their hands further. I mean, we've moved from Ajegunle to Delta, going to try, but we knew there were 400 in Delta. Imagine that a number of organizations do things like that, intervene in those areas. When businessmen are setting up major ventures, think of, say, outgrower schemes, in which young people can take, if you are doing a major farm, get 1,000 young people who can get 1 hectare farms. They are supplying into your network. You create an agri-industrial town that, processing all of this, you put so many people to work. You will increase output significantly, because the problem that we have in this country is that there is a huge possibility, given our youth bulge, of a demographic dividend. But if we don't tap a demographic dividend, we'll get a blowout.
And to add to that, probably, we need to begin to really build a raw material base. Take, for instance, the pharmaceutical industry. If we have a raw material, because the money is actually in the raw material area, so that they will add to the industry. So we have to transit, have a good raw material base where if anybody wants to make tires, you already have a semi-finished, raw material or finished.
Essentially, the value chain.
Yes.
You take each produce area,
yes,
and construct the value chains into global markets.
That's
because
right.
I would even argue that we should be training young professionals who are looking at, we joke about middlemen, we call middlemen names, but middlemen are very important in the economy.
They are.
They're the ones who bring together ideas, patch together these, but they should not stop their middle base here. It should be all the way to who is organizing how this gets to Walmart.
Fantastic.
Okay, I think we're making some fundamental assumptions, and that is that the ideas are available. That's a fundamental assumption that we are making. If you watch what is happening in our economy, you'll notice that there is a shortage of business ideas.
Yes, very true.
When a particular area opens up, everybody goes into it. Overcrowd it, it collapses. Now, what do we need to do, to ensure that there is a pipeline of ideas for people who want to be entrepreneurs? Yes. If we do not get that right, now let's look at something that
unfortunately our time is out, so we have to go, but that is a very critical issue.
Right.
I think that we can take on another episode and really deal with, because it is very true.
Yeah.
I'd say to entrepreneurs or young people who come to me, money, I say, the problem in this economy is not access to capital.
Yes, not access.
It's the good idea.
It's a good idea.
If you have the good idea, you will find the money, I assure you.
That's all that we have time for on today's show. But be sure to join us next time on Mondays at 8:30 p.m. local time, in London on Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m. and on Saturdays at 4:30 p.m. on DSTV. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, that is at Patitos Gang TV, and make sure you join the conversation on all our social media platforms that are being displayed on your screen right now. Till next time, my name is Fumbi Ogunbawo. Take care.